Kiyoshi Fujino, Takeda Morokuzu, Shingo Wakamoto, Juji Nezu, and Riji Ando are the only guys among the hundreds of girls that attend Hatamitsu Academy. As the boys lament their sadness at having never spoken to a girl, Kiyoshi resolves to show off by unexpectedly confronting a girl. However, when the girls walk away, he becomes embarrassed. Kiyoshi's sights meet Chio Kurohora's eyes, an enthusiastic sumo fan, as he attempts to pick up an eraser during a class. They have a wonderful time discussing wrestling and plan to attend a sumo event. As a result, Kiyoshi is the first of the 5 to have spoken to a female. Later, Kiyoshi's buddies devise a plot to film the girls' baths. Kiyoshi slips inside the restroom after dropping his phone there. Chio finds him but misidentifies him as her friend Bayumi. Ultimately, the underground student council apprehends Kiyoshi's friends, and Kiyoshi is eventually apprehended by their president, Mary Kurihara. As punishment, the 5 are condemned to 1 month in the faculty's prison, where Kiyoshi is astounded by the guys' sadistic outlooks due to the vice-continual president's maltreatment. Soon after, Maiko enlists the assistance of Hana Midorikawa, USC's secretary, to supervise the boys. Kiyoshi sees Chio after tending to a young crow and agrees to meet her during the sumo fight. However, as Hana tries to peep beneath him, and much to her humiliation, a crow pushes him off the tree branch, due to which he falls in front of her. When Maiko and the rest arrive on the scene after hearing Hana's cries, the guys are told to return to the jail. Mary informs the boys that they will only get up to 3 hours of free time on weekends after she and her father, the school's chairman, discuss the inmates, urging Kiyoshi and his friends to become model prisoners. Mary is dropping off the new USC handbook at the chairman's office when she comes across a porno on his computer and decides to punish the lads by taking away their free time. After Kiyoshi devises a plot to escape by busting a hole behind a garbage shed, Kakuto begins acting strangely, performing bizarre sumo postures and even offering to wash his back for him. As Hana begs that Kiyoshi urinate in front of her in exchange for seeing her pee, he is rescued by Kakuto, who notices Kiyoshi's escape plot and offers him help in exchange for 3 kingdoms, miniatures, guanyu, and red hair, which are only available once every 4 years. The following day, Kakuto and Kiyoshi stage a fight for Hana to kick down the shed and cover up the hole. Nonetheless, Kakuto assists him by requesting Hana to allow Kiyoshi to go to the restroom. Kiyoshi accidentally pees on Hana after being cornered for the 2nd time. Hana informs the vice president that she just had an accident since she is too embarrassed to tell anybody about it. As Hana chooses to take a break, Kakuto compliments Kiyoshi on his excellent effort. After the urinating incident, Hana had stepped down as an overseer, leaving Maiko to keep an eye on the lads. Kakuto requests that Kiyoshi examine the escape route when the escape hole becomes larger. Kiyoshi proceeds to scout the area around the schools. He decides to return since he is confident that the escape path is secure. On his way back, he notices the chairman burying naked photographs. Shingo begins to feel excluded by Kiyoshi and Kakuto's frequent conversation. In anticipation of a track meet, Kiyoshi, Kakuto, and Shingo are assigned to belongings watch duty. Still, Shingo changes to miscellaneous chores with Ander and Joe after observing Kiyoshi and Kakuto having a shower together, putting Shingo out of the way. Kiyoshi discovers a drainage pipe leading from the restroom to a location near the exit hole. During a test run, Maiko steps on Kiyoshi's buttocks, causing them to bleed, something Shingo misidentifies as hemorrhoids. Kakuto intends to use his audio player later in the IT class to make fake excrement sounds. When no audio recordings appear, he decides to create his own by taking a dump on himself. While burying additional photos, the chairman notices a hole in the faculty wall and chooses to repair it. Despite their efforts, they discover the hole has been fixed, not understanding it was done by the chairman. When Kiyoshi invents another plot to slip out of the school by cross-dressing, he is again assisted by Kakuto. However, to her embarrassment, when Mary arrives to check on their work, Kakuto purposefully pulls down her skirt. Mary leaves when Kakuto removes her skirt due to her embarrassment. Following that, Kakuto is summoned to the USA office, where Maiko trims his hair as a punishment for his crimes. With his hair in a bag, he admits that the actual reason he shaved his head was to let Kiyoshi use it to create a fake wig for breaking out of prison. Kiyoshi thanks him for the assistance. Kiyoshi goes to the faculty's laundry room to get a uniform before the breakout, after Kakuto attempts to delay the laundry worker. The laundry guy, however, closes the door and prepares to drive as he enters the truck when Kiyoshi is still inside it. Fortunately, Kiyoshi is spared once more when the driver becomes distracted by driving his car over something. On the morning of the track meet, he hides the excrement audio speakers inside the washroom and slips out through the drainage pipe. Kiyoshi departs for his date with Chio after narrowly avoiding Maiko and Mary. Chio treats him to the lunch she cooked herself as the two watch sumo wrestling. However, his day is turned upside down when Chio discovers Kakuto's wig in the outfit, which turns out to be her own in his suitcase. When Kiyoshi sees this, he also leaves, his head bowed in embarrassment and sadness. Maiko feels frustrated with Kiyoshi's frequent restroom breaks at school and resolves to confront him personally. Kakuto can only stare uneasily as Meiko smashes down the restroom stall door, since the poop speakers aren't working. When Meiko smashes down the door, she discovers Kiyoshi sobbing on the toilet. Kakuto, on the hand, is overjoyed and delighted since Kiyoshi has obtained his figurines. Mary comes as they exit the restroom, and Meiko searches Kiyoshi's luggage for Kakuto's wig and Chio's outfit. Kiyoshi is placed in solitary confinement when Mary's fears of an escape are proven. Kiyoshi convinces them that he acted on his own. While his buddies are sentenced to a 1-month prolongation of their sentences, he is expelled. Despite Meiko's claim that they don't have the authority to carry out such punishment, Mary persuades Kiyoshi to submit his resignation request form. On the other hand, Chio comes and signs a resignation letter, indicating that if Mary expels Kiyoshi, she would therefore expel herself. She describes how he is nice, since he is so compassionate and feeds the young crows. Kiyoshi then declines to sign the paperwork. As he goes back to the prison, he notices Joe, Shingo, and Ander have begun to distance themselves from him. Later, Meiko investigates the jail for the information she may use against them to perform 3 breakouts on the lads and deport them, which is included in Mary's preparations for Danchi Teigaku Operation, or DTO. Hana's unexpected arrival as Kiyoshi decides to take some rest surprises him. She vows to get her vengeance on him. Hana then joins back with Mary and Meiko to set DTO into action. Shingo becomes a USC informant. Meiko rewards him with various desserts for completing his job effectively and without overburdening him with labor. Shingo informs Meiko when Ander accidentally takes down Joe's aunt Nest in prison, causing Joe to become violent toward him. During his lunch break, Shingo distracts Joe from viewing his aunts as instructed by Meiko, resulting in Mary's crows appearing and killing his aunts. As Joe understands this, he tries to attack Mary with a tree limb. When Kiyoshi sees Joe coming at Mary, he rushes to shove him away before dismembering himself in the buttocks. Kiyoshi heads to the nurse's station with Hana as Joe is placed in solitary confinement. Hana brings him a bucket to pee in, but she chooses to urinate on him instead when he refuses. However, as Chio enters the room, Hana and Kiyoshi duck beneath the bed, where their lower half is exposed, and Kiyoshi's pennies begins prodding at her, causing Hana to faint. Later, Joe is freed, and Hana does not remember what happened in the infirmary. Kiyoshi doesn't have much remembrance either. Kiyoshi informs Joe about Shingo and Meiko's talk during the work break, and Kiyoshi and Joe apologize to each. Meiko informs Shingo in the prison's office that she will give him more time off from school for doing a good job. Meiko instructs Shingo to get her beer and enjoy himself for the remainder of the period. He visits a nearby arcade and encounters Ansu, another Hachimitsu student, who lectures him on speaking rudely to his senior. At the school, Kakuto is playing around with his figurine. As he is leaving the restroom, he accidentally drops the sword and doesn't notice it. When Shingo returns to the jail, he discovers a little sword in the lavatory and offers it to Meiko. Kakuto is searching inside the restroom for it, as the blade is a component of the Guan Yu figurine. Meiko later finds Kakuto's miniatures in the restroom, while Shingo returns to the arcade and encounters Ansu once more. The two spend valuable time together before choosing to eat something together. Meanwhile, in the jail, Meiko reveals that she has Kakuto's figurines and offers Kakuto the option of confessing to assisting Kiyoshi's escape and having everyone's sentences prolonged again, or having his figurines spared. He tosses them on the ground and smashes them, much to everyone's amazement. Shingo is taken aback by everyone's forgiveness as Kakuto immediately admits to his friends about the breakout. As he notices no one's going to stand by his side, he leaves the room. Mary assigns Meiko a considerably smaller uniform than she usually wears as punishment for not informing her about the blade's origin in her bowl of peanuts. Exhausted by the effort, Meiko almost faints in school. Chio rescues and brings her to Mary's office, where she finds the existence of DTO. Mary reveals the last step of DTO while Chio listens on from the other side of the door, looking to take advantage of Ander's sadistic desires. Meiko uses Ander's slave journal to avoid punishing him for several days. Meanwhile, Meiko grants Shingo extra free time outside, warning that if he does not return by 6:30 p.m., he will cause a breakout. The other lads are dispatched to reinforce the prison gate, and they meet eyes with Chio, who gives Kiyoshi a concealed message. Later, Meiko's voice shouts punishment time to Ander, prompting him to go for his journal at the corrections office, luring him outdoors. Kiyoshi, Kakuto, and Joe go out to warn Ander, but he breaks over the fence and suffers his penalty, only to be restrained by Hana for a jailbreak infraction, since Meiko is beyond the prison bounds. Shingo enjoys his time with Anzu outside school as the two decide to watch a movie together. Shingo assists a child who is being bullied by other children in the park. His encounter with Anzu is revealed to be a scheme to buy time. Nonetheless, Shingo comes before 6:30 p.m. with the assistance of the laundry guy, but fails to unlock the gate that the lads worked on earlier. With 3 escapes in a row, the 5 of them visit the chairman to negotiate their expulsion, to which Chio tries to intercede but is unable to produce concrete evidence of DTO. When Shingo cites proof of having seen DTO elsewhere, the guys devise a strategy to reveal USC's ulterior goal 2 weeks ahead of their suspension date. Shingo recalls seeing an email branded DTO at the corrections office. According to Andrew, the USC may well have prepared in advance and destroyed the email. Despite this, Kakuto points out that data recovery tools may still retrieve the email. To get entrance to the corrections office using the cell keys, the lads entice Maiko by arranging an arm wrestling contest and berating her into challenging them, which she accepts. Kakuto sneaks into the prison's office, where he needs to spend at least 10 minutes downloading software and searching for the email. Kiyoshi manages to keep her at bay for a few minutes by postponing their battle and re-challenging her. On the other hand, Shingo and Joe are eliminated from the challenge before it ever begins. Due to time constraints, Kakuto is attempting to recover the email as quickly as possible. Despite their best efforts, Kiyoshi, Joe, and Shingo's battles last only a minute. She is distracted by the single hair dangling from Andrew's nipple as she begins the challenge with him. As a result, Andrew manages to hold out for nearly the rest of the duration, until he loses the contest 9 minutes in. As Maiko is about to realize that her keys have gone missing, Kakuto scoops them off the floor and delivers them to her before she departs. While the others applaud Kakuto's early return, he reveals his inability to recover the lost email despite simply downloading the program. Faced with possible ejection, Kiyoshi and the others harmonize before retiring to bed. Except for a lunatic Kakuto, who develops illogical escape schemes, Kiyoshi and the rest have lost hope. Maiko requests that the boys choose their final dinner. After seeing Kiyoshi's message from Chiyo, he comes up with a plan. Disgusted by the taste of fried grasshoppers and rice dish so much, Kakuto breaks free of his unusual condition, inspiring him to devise a real escape plan. He discusses the proposal with the others. However, they insist they don't have enough time to implement it. After Maiko sends them their resignation papers, Kiyoshi advises writing a plea to the chairman to give Kakuto's scheme more time. To their astonishment, the chairman answers the plea. It is discovered that the petition Maiko had torn was a ruse. Kiyoshi persuaded the chairman to attend by using his awareness of the chairman's hidden sexual images. He tells them that he will only postpone the suspension date if Kiyoshi's preference coincides with the chairman's in a boobs versus butts discussion. Meanwhile, while Maiko attempts to listen outside the jail, Hana goes insane as suppressed memories of her, with Kiyoshi underneath the inpatient bed resurface. Chairman asks a question to put Kiyoshi on the spot. He answers it adequately after considerable thought, impressing the chairman. Despite the chairman's declaration that the expulsion has been postponed, the lads can only enjoy a one-day respite. The USC approaches the chairman about the situation, but he ignores their request. As the USC considers its next step, Hana volunteers to personally supervise the lads on their last day. Kakuto develops a plan to mislead Maiko into challenging her to a butt fight whenever she enters the room. However, as Hana comes instead of Maiko, Kakuto's plan to mislead Maiko breaks apart. Mary believed the boys were accustomed to Maiko's behavioral patterns and consented to have Hana supervise the boys. Kiyoshi takes advantage of Hana's resentment and infiltrates the corrections office. Chiyo comes across Ansu, who hopes to assist the lads in avoiding expulsion, when she intercepts another Kiyoshi's note inside his lunch tray. Later, Kakuto is purposefully wounded in the head with a fork by Joe and treated in the prison's office by Hana. Kiyoshi follows Hana there as Kakuto returns. Chiyo and Anzu devise a plan to help the boys while Maiko monitors the jail. Hana then hands Kiyoshi a small container to urinate in. Kiyoshi, full of confidence, strips down and unlocks the rear door, but hits the ground after being kneed by Hana. She is about to pee on him when Hana notices Maiko's concern and closes the door again. Much to the guys' relief, Anzu is the one who is apprehended rather than Chiyo, giving herself up so that Chiyo might enter. Hana then kisses Kiyoshi while holding the door, claiming that snatching his maiden kiss ahead of Chiyo is her retribution against him. Chiyo stands by the prison's office's rear entrance while Kiyoshi and Hana argue with each other. Kiyoshi counterattacks by pushing his tongue inside Hana's mouth, utterly startling the sexually chaste Hana and causing a copious hemorrhage. Chiyo enters the corrections office as she exits. As Kiyoshi gets back to jail, Hana lets Kakuto and Joe use the restroom before the five retire to bed. Mary and Maiko, suspicious, begin to monitor the jail before proclaiming it unbreakable. Maiko takes the lads to the chairman's office the next day. Meanwhile, Kakuto flees the school, prompting the schoolgirls to assault him. As Kiyoshi proclaims that they have triumphed, Maiko notices their trick and seizes Joe, dressed as Kakuto and Chiyo, concealed under Joe's hood. The students hurl Kakuto into the chairman's chamber. The lads then explain that Chiyo slipped in through the back entrance of the prison's office and encountered Kakuto and Joe within the restroom, where they exchanged clothing 3 ways. Kakuto walked to the corrections office disguised, enduring his fork slash to have Joe camouflaged with bandages. While Maiko and Mary were monitoring, Kakuto hid outdoors. When Mako expresses surprise at how quickly the DTO email may have been retrieved, Kakuto informs her that the data recovery program was downloaded beforehand during the arm wrestling battle. Hana finds Kyoshi's manipulation, as Kakuto sends the DTO's data USB drive to the chairman. Mako charges for attacking him, just to strike Mary instead, who ultimately confesses to the DTO scheme. The end.